Good day everyone. So for today we will talk about jazz. So in this video we will know what is jazz and how jazz over the period of time. So please listen and we will start our discussion. Before anything else, I would like to question you. What is, or do you have any idea about what is jazz, a jazz dance? Yes, do you have any idea about that? Okay, so jazz dance is a social dance that emerged at the turn of the 20th century when African American dancers began blending traditional African steps with European styles of movement. So si jazz di ay nag-combination na siya sa pagka 20th century naana na siya sa mga combination ng mga style. So though jazz dance was born through intimate religious and social gatherings, it has always had a performative feel. So the African dances that built the foundation of dance or the foundation of jazz were explosive, grounded, sensuous, and rhythmic. So unlike the jazz music, dance was centered around improvisation and call and response format that allowed dancers to create a conversation between the musicians, the instrument, and their body. So dili siya musayaw nga way tumong kundi ang musayaw sila kundi kay para manay conversation bitaw na sila'y connection si music, si instrument, and their bodies. So when black dancers began pairing these eye-catching steps with the more structured movements seen in the European dances, iconic moves like the Charleston and the cakewalk were born. So na po si Charleston o si cakewalk ana. So let us define first what is ball change. So ball change, it is a quick transfer of weight from one foot to the other. So the second one is the box step or just square. A four-step movement in which the dancer step across, back, to the side, and then to the front, making a square pattern on the floor. Square ng dumi. So the third one is the chase. So step out in any direction, fly, then jump and chase. So dakop-dakop. The first leg with the second landing on the first leg, like a galoop with pointed toes. So the fourth one is the Charleston, a popular move in which the weight is shifted from one leg to another with the free leg being kicked out either forward or backward to an oblique angle. So the last is the jazz pas de bourre, a move where the weight is transferred quickly from one foot to the other three steps. So kato akong gipanghisgutan nga 5 ka buok. So mao to siya mga steps or mga movements sa jazz. Mao to siya mga movement or steps sa jazz ha. So now let us talk about the jazz style period. So ari nga discussion na yung tong from 19 whatever diyan to may baan og usay nagkausob ba ni si jazz over the period of time. So the first one we will talk about it's the first stage. It is the early jazz or New Orleans and Chicago style Dixieland, which is in 1920 and 1930. So its characteristics: use of collective improvisation or polyphony, front line of trumpet or cornet, clarinet, trombone. New Orleans style typically included banjo and tuba, later replaced by guitar and strings bass in Chicago style. So Chicago style also typically adds saxophone to the front line. So, daghan siya mga instrument gipanggamit, no? So, use of flat 4 in New Orleans styles. Later, replaced by lighter 2-beat fill in Chicago style. Modern drum set emerged when New Orleans musicians begin to consolidate the drum section. It is the bass, snare, and cymbals, so commonly found in early New Orleans brass band. So the important musicians, so atong ang kinsa mga importante nga mga musicians ani nga era or sa 1920-1930. So they are Louis Armstrong. He is the cornet or the trumpeters. So the next one is the Bix Beiderbecke, the cornet one, and Jelly Roll Morton. So the piano composer, Sidney Bechet, soprano sax, and clarinet. So Earl Fatah Hines, and he is the pianist. So the second era or the second one is that the swing or band era. It is in the 1930s and to 1945. So its characteristics: most popular period in jazz history, large in cymbals, less improvisation, more emphasis on written arrangement, emphasis on showmanship, band uniform, theme songs, logos on stands, choreography, and singers. So development of sections, saxes, trumpets, trombones, rhythm, based on the early model of the front line in the New Orleans, Chicago style Dixieland. So smoother swing feels steady 4x4 time with emphasis on beats 2 and 4, walking bass, ride cymbal, features stand, big band arrangement could include tutti. So what is tutti? All horns playing a melodic line in harmony. So soli, one section featured playing a melodic line in harmony. So shout chorus, thematic tutti section at the end of the arrangement. So cross section voicing a harmonized melodic line voiced using instruments from different sections within the band. So riffs, repeated short melodic and or rhythmic patterns. So its important musician is Duke Ellington, the pianist and the composer; Count Basie, the pianist and the band leader; Coleman Hawkins, the tenor and the sax; then Lester Young, tenor sax; Roy Eldridge, the trumpeter. So the third era is the bop in 1945 to 1950. So 5 years ang iyahang nakuan sa 5 years mubura. So its characteristic is that the small ensembles, trio, quarter, quintet focus on improvisation rather than complex arrangement. So complex angular melodies usually played in unison, longer regular phrasing. So usually faster tempos than in swing. So emphasis on verticity, instrumental technique. Drummer is now more interactive. So dropping bombs. So kani kuno si ani nga era ang mga drummers kuno kay makipag-communicate kita sa mga mananaway. So dili na siya focus sa iyang drum kundi apil na sa mga mananaway kundi nakatuon na po diyan pansin sa mananaway. So use of contrafacts, original melody lines written over standard chord progression. So it's increased harmonic complexities, alliteration, and substitutions of standard chord progressions. So the important musicians here are the Charlie Parker, he is the alto sax; Dizzy Gillespie, the trumpeter; Bud Powell, the pianist. So the next one is the cool which is in the 1950s and 1955. So 5 years gihapon no. So its characteristics is calm and hurried approach to improvisation. So its important musicians are Miles Davis, trumpeters, Dave Brubeck, the pianist and the composer, Paul Desmond and Lee Konitz, the alto sax, Jerry Mulligan, the bari sax composer, modern jazz quarter, Stan Getz, the tenor sax, and Jill Evans, which is the pianist and the composer. Next is the hard bop, which is in the 1955 and 1960. So its characteristics: raw, harrowing driving style with an emotional emphasis, extensive use of blues and gospel music, emphasis on groove, funky, dance ability, and the shuffle rhythm. So Latin elements and straight 18-note feel used at times. So somewhat slower tempos and simpler melodies than in bop. Primarily black musicians from New York City, Detroit, and Philadelphia. So its important musicians are Art Blakey, Jump, and the Jazz Messengers. So Horace Silver, the pianist, Sonny Rollins, the tenor sax, Clifford Brown, trumpeter, Cannonball Adderley, alto sax, Charles Mingus, the bass and the composer, Benny Golson, the tenor sax and the composer, and the jazzette Miles Davis, the trumpeter, classic quintet in 1955 to 1959. So the next one is the free jazz avant grande. So it is in the 1960s to 1969. So, what ng tawaan nino? So, its characteristics often free forms. Tunes often complete, improvisation, lack of precise chord changes, so usually dense textures, highly energy, playing energy music, collective improvisation of more dissonant and tonant nature. So, its important musicians are Ornette Coleman, alto sax composer, Cecil Taylor, the pianist and the composer, Alberto Ayler, tenor sax, Anthony Braxton, the saxophones and the composer. The next one is the fusion or the jazz rock in 1970s to 1979. So characteristics: extensive use of electronic instruments. So di ani nga time. So electronic instruments na no. So electric piano, Fender Rhodes, synthesis, multiple keyboards, electric bass, bass guitar, electric guitar, electronic modifications, and acoustic instruments. So focus of attention on the rhythm section. So its important musicians are Miles Davis, the trumpeter, band leader, Beaches Brew in a Silent Way, Chick Corea, keyboards, and the leader, Return to Forever, Weather Report group, John McLaughlin, the guitar and the leader, and then Mahavishnu Orchestra. So the next one is the electricism. So nagkaanam yun siya o ka-evolve no sa pagmanumanod siya nga dili electric hantod nga na electric na siya ang gamit sa mga musicians. So the next one is the electricism in 1980s to 1990s. So its characteristics is no single dominant stylistic trend has emerged in 1980s or 1990s. Instead, a continuation of previous styles, crossover, and new styles derived from various sources are common. Some notable trends with this electricism seem to be, so meaning niya ani kay dili kuno walay na usab sa previous si mga era kundi nadungagan ra ni siya. So a further sophistication of electronic jazz through the use of computers. A resurgent neo-bop and neo-traditional movement, neoclassicism, expanded instrumental and vocal techniques, a greater involvement of women and the growth of European and world of music jazz style. So the important musicians here are Pat Metheny Group, Fusion Band, Michael Brooker tenor sax, also founding member of Fusion Group Steps Ahead. So Fusion kato una ni Electric System no. Kaya dingon biya ko nga walay nabag-o ani nga period of time kundi nadungagan na siya o mga lain nga mga kanang styles. So now we will talk about the types of jazz. So the first one is the jazz subgenres. The next one is the jazz funk. The third one is the lyrical jazz. The fourth one is the modern jazz. The fifth one is the commercial jazz, and the last one is the jazz dance in today's culture. So first, let us talk about the jazz subgenres. So if you're looking to take a jazz dance class or attend a dance competition today, you'll likely see several types of jazz dance listed. By creating subgenres of jazz, it was easier for studio owners, choreographers, and competitions to attract business. So for example, someone who's familiar with funk music and dances might be more attracted to a dance called jazz funk as it seems familiar and relevant to popular music of that time. Here is a quick breakdown of the most popular jazz subgenres and how they are interpreted by professional dancers. The next one is the jazz funk. So jazz funk is closer to hip hop, while jazz draws more technical influences from ballet and modern dance. So as jazz became increasingly known as the American dance style, it became the perfect bridge between black and white culture. So kaning dahil si jazz kuno kay mao ko ni nahimong tulay nga mahimong magkausa si black and white. So even though it was originally a black dance style, so for new non-black dancers who wanted to learn hip hop or funk but didn't feel comfortable learning a style that was dominated by black musicians or the black music, jazz funk functioned as a crossover style. So today, jazz funk is typically executed to pop music that has hints of funk and hip hop, and the moves are mixture of traditional jazz steps and move popularized after 1970s. So the next one is the lyrical jazz. As more emotional ballads took over music videos, it was natural for dancers to allow lyrics to inform their dancers' moves rather than percussion or brass. Then the next one is the modern jazz. Modern jazz is the bridge between jazz and modern dance, which is more technical yet grounded. Many cite the choreography pioneered by Martha Graham as a basis for modern dance. So the next one is the commercial jazz. When dancers says commercial, they aren't just referring to advertisement. So abi kay commercial, dili sila nag-refer sa mga advertisement. So it's more synonyms with any paid professional work. So as a result, commercial jazz classes typically focus on accessible jazz influence choreography seen in music video. So the last one is the jazz dance in today's culture. So, though jazz dance is recognized as the number one American dance styles, in recent years, many studios stopped treating it as foundational requirement for new dancers. So now, dance scholars around the world are bringing attention to importance of jazz in a dance education. So that's it for today. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you and God bless us all.